right, so the Super Conference agenda is put to a little bit of a halt right now. In 2024, the SEC recently announced that they will not have a 9-game conference schedule. They'll stick with the 8. They've always had the 8, so you play 4 non-conference games. Usually goes to smaller schools, maybe one big matchup, maybe from the Big Ten or wherever. But usually smaller schools go in, and I have a little more on that later. But as of right now, for 2024, which is next year, they won't be doing a 9-game conference schedule, but may debate it in the future. Jordan, do you think that's a good idea? That they should move to 9, or should they stick to 8?
I think they should move to 9 because it it makes more sense to do that because you have some SEC teams who haven't made trips. Like take for example, Alabama hasn't played in Athens, Georgia since 2015. And with a 9-game conference schedule, you can go to a 3-6-6 model. So you can have so the 3-6-6 model would be 3 permanent opponents every year, and the other and 6-6 would be you play 6 SEC teams one year and then 6 the other year that you don't play those 6 teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Jake, thoughts?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think I agree with Jordan. I think they should move to 9, to get maybe those teams that don't play other teams as often to get those teams in there. Like I know Tennessee and Georgia play it. They play every year. They shift up from Knoxville, Athens. They switch. I know they play every year, but like Jordan mentioned, Alabama, Georgia, they don't play every year. I think Jordan said Alabama hasn't gone down to Athens since 2015. So, if you get that extra conference game in there, Alabama could go down to Athens. So, and that'd be an exciting game for everyone. So,
Yeah, so first question before I get to my response, with Oklahoma and Texas coming in, right, next year, do they already know what the divisions are going to be, or or the conference, like how they're going to split that up, like East and West, or have they not decided that yet? I don't actually know on that.
I don't believe that they'll have conferences. I think it'll be just one big conference, like you see, like the Big 12 right now, with no
Yeah.
divisions. And best records in that conference will just play for the conference championship.
Okay, so that's a good. I'm going to disagree with both of you guys here in a minute. I'll get to that, but that's actually a good point though that you raise about the conferences, right? Because if they're all 16, or the teams that play, like Alabama hasn't played at Georgia and so, and Georgia hasn't played, like in there, I'm sure there's other examples out in the West, like maybe Missouri hasn't played somewhere in a while, right? There's probably plenty of examples for that, and that's a valid argument, right? You want to see good teams come into your place. With the 16, maybe they can mix that up a little more. With everyone just not East and West, just everyone playing together. But I'm going to disagree mainly because maybe because I have a bias because I went to a Group of 5 school for 2 years. But this would really hurt Group of 5 schools because then the SEC. So say they only have 3 non-conference games, right? Well, then they'll want to just go. They'll play the big dogs, and there's less room for other schools. There's less room for the Sun Belt, which is a very, very good conference, by the way. The AAC, American Athletic Conference, which lost a little bit, and even some Conference USA ones, because sometimes they're good games, not always. There will be the 60 to nothing game, especially if Georgia's playing them, because they'll kill anybody. But some of the other schools, like the lower level Power Fives, maybe like the Missouris of the world, the Vanderbilts of the world, there'll be some good games. In state, like you got in-state rivalries. Even Alabama, they'll have like Jacksonville State. I know Alabama doesn't want to play those guys, but still, you got in-state rivals. And the biggest point for these schools is you got the transfer portal. So say you have a strong Group of 5, right? You want to get these good players, and then if they play 2 strong years at Jacksonville State, well, then they could transfer up to Alabama. So I think look, half of Group of 5 definitely is a little bit non-existent, but there's some good ones too. And I think 8 conference games is enough. I think that's enough to settle it. I think they should let them play it. Let them play out and let them play these schools. That's what I think.
I think you made a valid argument with the Group of 5 there. I honestly really don't know, 8 or 9. It makes more sense to go to 9, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Why theoretically would it make more sense to go to 9 though? Just because it's another game, or is there actually something behind that though? Like why would it be better? But
So I brought up the fact that Alabama hasn't played in Athens since 2015. And what you can do in that 3-6-6 model I laid out was so 1 year you can have, Georgia play in Tuscaloosa, right? And then 2 years later, because I was talking about the six, they would just rotate between the six teams that aren't your three permanent rivals. And then you could have, Alabama play in Athens 2 years later, right? As opposed to it's been 8 years at this point since Alabama's played in Athens. So that's what I'm really getting at here.
I think that's the likely conclusion. Anyways, they'll probably eventually move to this. But I think I laid out the case why they shouldn't.